Hello, hello. Welcome, Chris. How are
Hey,
you?
what's going on, Kai? Good to see you.
I just wanted to welcome you to one of our first chats with our filmmakers. We're getting together with the filmmakers of our original series, in this case, our scripted fiction series. Today, we're going to talk about
We
Brooklynification.
love Brooklynification.
Why
Yeah.
don't you start out by just telling us a little bit about the inspiration behind Brooklynification?
Okay. I mean, Brooklyn is the inspiration for Brooklynification. I'm originally from Virginia, but I've been in New York since 2000. I came here for law school. I'm an outsider enough to see it with fresh eyes, and then I've been here long enough where I have enough sort of Brooklyn stories that became inspiration for each individual episode. And each episode has a kernel, a true event that happened in my lives or someone else's life that became the genesis for each episode. So
Right.
it's just Brooklyn experiences, and especially around gentrification and watching neighborhoods change, even in the time I've been here.
Yeah, it was when you first came to us with the idea, we wanted to do it and we couldn't figure out what the tone was going to be. We were kind of like,
Right,
is this going to be a comedy? It's
right.
gentrification. It's kind of serious.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
how can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit how you came upon the tone of the series?
Kai, I think I'm funny. Do you think I'm funny?
I
Try
think
to
you're
make you laugh?
hilarious. I'm like laughing inside right now.
It is difficult, but it's extremely rewarding to tackle complex topics with humor. And the people that inspire me are like comedians like Richard Pryor and Dave Chappelle, who are able to tackle complex stuff through humor. And you could kind of get people with their guards down and talk about stuff they're not willing to normally talk about without having a level of defensiveness if you're doing it through humor. What I knew of New York was really watching Seinfeld, right? I wanted for a black version of the daily things that happen to people, the daily conflicts. Probably the biggest influence in my life has been like the work of Spike Lee. Do the right thing, the idea where you have all these intersections of different people meeting and the awkward situations that come out of it and the humor that comes out of those awkward situations is something I thought we could capture with the right comedic tone. But one of the very first ideas that came to mind is I had this, there was this homeless guy on my block that was like living on the block, and I live on a pretty liberal block in Park Slope.
Unpack that a little bit. What does a liberal block mean in your
So listen,
interpretation?
in my turn, all right, so like there are three New York Times writers, reviewed writers on my block. They're very much into recycling and organic recycling. And the block list of the things they talk about on the block is just hilarious to me. 'Cause I'm a Southern boy. Like a lot of this stuff isn't that complex to me. And then you throw race on top of that, right? So we had this issue where there was this white homeless guy on the block, and everybody in the neighborhood was just kind of cool with it. They're like, oh, well, he's kind of watching over the block. It's kind of good to have him here.
Come on, man. Come on. Let's go.
Enchanté.
You can't stay here.
I beg your pardon?
You can't stay here. All right, go find a shelter or something.
Who are you, the cops?
No, but I live here.
Yeah, so do I, and this street's taken. Find yourself a spot across the street.
No, I live here in a house on the block.
I've never seen you before.
We just closed a few weeks ago.
Oh, really? Which one?
386.
Oh, 386. Great choice. I love
So
it.
there's just this weird dynamic of me being the black guy who was unsympathetic to the homeless person, and we had these white liberal neighbors who were like, oh no, it's cool, we should do our part, we're not going to have this not on my block sort of attitude.
By the way, brought you some Mexican leftovers.
Oh, Viva Burrito?
Actually, no. These are from La Mexicana over on Fulton.
Oh, well, that's fine, I guess.
And we had these great actors. We spent a lot of time looking for people who could capture that tone, because it's true, we didn't want to punch down and sort of make light of homelessness or the situation or whatever, but we also wanted to talk about the real world frustration of like a homeowner or a person worried about the safety of their family in that situation. So
Right.
it's easy to get that tone wrong if you don't care enough to bring the sensitive nature of it to it, but there's also a way to find humor in telling that story, even if it's just for a slice of life.
Second, yeah. In your writing and in Keith's directing, you guys did a really good job of matching that balance, and it evolved into season 2 really well. You know, you guys kind of found your stride and your voice, you know, and all of that, which was really cool.
The very good thing about the writing process is that Keith, who I met through the Brooklyn Filmmakers Collective, he cares a lot about his characters, right? So no matter who the character is, and you can see all his different works where he's represented all different types of people, he generally worked very hard to tell their side and tell their story. And I found a lot of times I was rougher on people than he would be. But what would happen is a lot of the times we would have the argument in the writer's room. And a lot of the times, a lot of the arguments or disagreements we would have would be the source of what would come out on the screen. And we were like, you know, why don't we just write about this? Like this thing this back having right now, why don't we just put that into the work? And that happened to great effect a lot of times.
So since we're kind of still in season 1, I do want to talk about, I think, 2 episodes that were really popular with fans.
Okay.
One was The Broker. Yes. And you can talk a little bit about that actor and writing that monologue for him, like set up the scene.
I gotta say, Jaden Kane is amazing. Like, he's an actor. Keith had worked with him before, and we were struggling trying to figure out who could do it. And Jaden Kane was the right person for it. When you see the clip, when you see him interacting with clients, you're like, this guy is a real estate broker. He was a natural. He was great at it, and so he assumed that persona very well. So that whole episode really was born out of wanting to do like a Spike Lee type of rant.
Wanna know why? Because of the super duper nice price that your husband here was trying to act like he wasn't pre-ejaculating to. Oh yeah, I saw you over there 20 minutes ago doing your little Shimoni dance. Before you turn into art of the deal fucking negotiator. Comes with neighbors. Interesting neighbors. Neighbors that will have you trying to gnaw open your wrist because finding a straight razor to slit them just takes too long.
The man went into like a room by himself, and just, we could watch him actually just pacing back and forth and just like playing this broker person. And it was like, I don't think I've seen anything like that. The energy he went into, like inhabiting the character or whatever. And then by the time he came out the room, like he was this broker character. But it came also out of the experience of just having broker friends or having heard the sort of crazy things that people say when they move into a community.
Pleasure to have you with us. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nancy.
Nancy, pleasure is all mine.
So we really like the building.
Awesome.
It's beautiful.
It's really nice, but we do have a question.
Okay.
We noticed that there are some guys sort of like grilling out on the sidewalk.
Okay.
Is that like an everyday thing?
Well, it's Saturday, so.
And then we had a sort of 10 or so actors who were on set that we spent the morning pairing with dialogue. And we did a lot of mixing and matching.
Is it a food desert here?
Excuse me?
So, I like to go jogging at 4 a.m. with my headphones on. Is the neighborhood safe enough for that?
Well, I don't know if that's safe anywhere at 4 a.m.
And like, you know, who gives us the best effect with each line? And you know, sometimes a line sounds different coming from like an older white woman versus like a young black man. And like, it's like a calculus. You don't know what you get until you put the different characters with the line. So the same line has 10 different effects based on who's performing the line or whatever. And so we mix and match. And the day of the actors found the right lines for them for that scene.
Yeah, I think I visited the set, I don't think that day, but another day, and I was really impressed by the flexibility from the script, how it translated into the directing. You know, there was a lot of room for improvisation and, you know, for actors to kind of bring their own energy into it. And, you know, Keith, I thought was really good at giving people space to play.
Absolutely.
Bit, you know what I mean? And I think that spontaneity is what translates really well into those scenes.
Listen, I've had the pleasure of working with a bunch of different directors in different capacities. And Keith has this laid back persona because he's an intense guy or whatever, but he exudes calmness on set and working with actors that really gives those actors that space to do that stuff or whatever. But to be able to work with someone like that is kind of how we clicked, and it's made doing all these very, very different episodes possible. It just would not be possible if we couldn't work together like that.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing to watch. You know,
Yeah.
It was very kind of there's a lot of synergies happening between the director and the writer. And
then I have to say, then I have to give credit to our producer, Joyce, who runs a tight ship.
Yes.
Joyce Mashan,
Joyce Mashan, yes.
He has a background in reality TV. She moves at a very, very fast pace. And so there are many, many instances where like we were working on scripts and casting up until like 2 or 3 days before, which I probably shouldn't be telling you as my producer, BRIC producer. But
I knew.
You knew, okay.
But it all worked out. It all worked out.
She's very efficient, and like, you know, I've never been on set that were so efficient. And the fact of the matter is we typically called at like 6 o'clock every single day, where I'm used to, like, I was preparing for like, all right, we're going to be here till midnight, working all night and doing all that stuff. That is 100% Joyce at work.
So another, I think, episode that I really, really loved was the parent-teacher conference.
Parent-teacher conference is
what was that based on?
Dear to my heart. That is my life story. If you want to see the Chris Poindexter TV show, that is it.
So that main character was you, the father, in that
was me. You know, we were looking for a George Jefferson type of small, prickly, proud black man for that role.
I'm gonna be real honest with you, Miss Teacher Amy. That all sounds great, but that's not exactly what I'm teaching my son at home.
Really? You don't want a world free from bias?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I'm raising my son the way I was raised. Look, DeAndre needs to know that there's certain things you can't change about this country, and he needs to be prepared to work twice as hard to get what he really wants in life.
It's the story about being a black father of a black son who's sending his kids off to a private white school, where when I did the same thing for my sons, I had all these reservations because I came from black public schools. I turned out great, and I think I worry about my son losing some of that experience or losing that experience in a private white school, and wanted to make sure they weren't losing a sense of their blackness going to a school like that. Yeah,
I thought it was captured really well. And the way you wrote it, you were in one location, you know, which was really smart. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the decision around, like, when you looked at the budget and what you guys wanted to accomplish, how you made that work?
There were many, many episodes that were sort of driven by, well, what do we have access to? And then we would back into stories that kind of fit the space or whatever. A very good friend of mine runs a charter school in Bed-Stuy. So we had a great production design team who went in, who scribbled on cardboard paper to do children's homework and completely direct the classroom. So it felt very lived in by like second graders. that all came together.
So last week I had the students draw their neighborhoods. This one's DeAndre's. He got the brownstone, the street, and
What
the
are
car.
these yellow things?
Those are crackers.
Crackers.
Yeah. DeAndre told me his daddy says the neighborhood is being taken over by crackers.
My neighbor likes to feed the birds, and he's always littering the block with breadcrumbs and crackers and littering all on the street. You know what? It's an eyesore. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
We found a crew member's parents who had a bed-stuy floor that wasn't in use. And so we were like, well, what can we do with this? And that's how episode one of the bitters came out of that.
And also probably with the roommates and the tenants, season 2, episodes 2 and 3.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
It really took looking around and seeing what was at our disposal and trying to fit something in it. And at the point when budgets were looking very thin, we're like, you know what? Let's go shoot in the park. And then that's where we came up with the episode for LARPers versus battle rap.
You look like the type to call the cops, get scared and start going in your house. You ready to die for them posits? Or you gonna be foaming at the mouth? Anything you do hot, know that I taught you. I get fly, but Luke ain't the only Skywalker.
So the genesis of that story is I have a cousin who's huge in the battle rap world scene. His name is Smack URL. Every time he does an event, he gets 500,000 views for anything he does on YouTube. And I was like, I really want to tap into like his crowd. So knowing I had access to him, at some point we were sitting around talking about one of the producers was describing how their son is into LARPing.
Excuse me, sorry guys, didn't mean to interrupt. We actually have this spot, this hill reserved, so if you guys wouldn't mind, we actually have to do our campaign here.
Whoa. What are you wearing? And why you ain't got no shoes on?
It's very connected to the earth. I don't know why you're making a big deal of it.
We're live action role players, LARPers, we LARP.
So these are people who go into like Prospect Park, dress up like medieval warriors, and they duel and they fight in the park. So thinking about that, we're like, well, we got to figure out a way to get the LARPers and the battle rappers like in the same space.
Y'all got the spot, man. Y'all, he earned the spot for him. He earned the spot, man.
And I think that's one of our more fun episodes. That episode, we knew we wanted to use a couple of actors from season 1. So there was Priya, who you know we wanted to give her an opportunity to shine.
This day, we stand up.
Well.
Yeah. This day, we will, by all that is good in our green earth, dear to our hearts, we will stand and claim our truth.
Preach.
Aye.
Speak it, preach it.
And
Wait, so like, are you gonna buy us drinks like afterwards?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I
She
just said that.
that.
Can you just stop being a pussy?
You know, that last episode, The Homecoming, was really touching. It was such a great way to end season 2. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah,
and Al
so
and those actors.
So you know, at the end of season 1, we did a lot of assessment of like what we did, what we didn't do, and what we would want to revisit. Right? Keith and I both felt we didn't visit class enough necessarily in a way that was meaningful. And I think we were on set first season and just talking to one of the crew members, and it turned out that like he was recently coming home after doing some time in prison. And we were like, it kind of both dawned us like, yeah, this is totally missing in the first season. We haven't touched mass incarceration, which is definitely affecting Brooklyn neighborhoods, especially in places like Bed-Stuy. Now, the big deal is we thought of this well before the OG. I promise you. Like this is our thing. We talked about it. We recorded it. But not mad at the OG. Like if you're in this subject matter, if you're looking at this is something that's definitely going to come up.
Can I help you?
I'm Cameron Pierre. Alexandra Pierre is my mother. You know the woman you bought the house from?
Oh, yes. Of course. Hi. Hi.
Me and Lil Man, we were in the neighborhood, and I wanted to show him the house I grew up in.
Yeah.
But we also wanted to do a story with with heart and with a little bit of drama, and because you can't do all laughs all the time.
So do you still live in the hood, neighborhood?
Truth is, I was away for a little while.
School?
Upstate.
Work?
Nope.
Oh, traveling, like, I know that. Like, between college, I, open road, wind in my hair.
I just did 8 years in Greenhaven Correctional.
Prison.
Al Thompson is someone I've known for a long time, and I know what he's capable of, and you can see it in his work.
Take care of this house, man. And don't forget the people that came here before you.
It was a lot easier on our end to attract people to the project by season 2, because then we finally had something to show people. So being able to send stuff to managers and that sort of thing, and that's how we met Tessa and Tally, who, you see a lot of them now. You can't escape Tessa during tax season because she's everywhere with H&R Block. And Tally is just one of the funniest people I ever met. So I think at some point, Keith and I had the idea of all these different people. Why don't we take the funniest people we've come across in our time here and just put them in one room? And that's how the roommate episode came about.
What makes you want to be a part of an anti-hierarchical, matriarchal, cruelty-free collective household?
Well, I am an actor and a singer, and I've lived in New York for over 40 years. Brooklyn since 1980, and in this neighborhood since 1995.
Old school, nice.
And that also gave us the opportunity to use the great Lizanne.
Lizanne,
Like,
yeah.
oh my God, she was just like, just having her on set, she was just like this influence, this calming influence. And you would see like PAs and audio people were just sort of gravitating towards, wanted to sit at her feet and just kind of be around her and listen to her talk. Everyone just wanted to spend time with her. It was a learning process for us doing Brooklynification. And now I realize why so many other TV shows get better over time, because you really learn to play to the strengths of talent, of writing, directing, and you get to improve over time. And I often tell people they could start anywhere with the series because it's an anthology. They could start with season 2, my favorite episode. They could start with the school and start with season 2, episode 1. And then from there, they can branch out in any direction and really enjoy the series.
We're going to go to a rapid fire part of our interview.
I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So, all right, quick. What's your favorite show right now?
My favorite show right now is Fleabag.
I love Fleabag.
Yeah.
I'm loving Killing Eve too.
Killing Eve is good too. Now, the show I'm kind of most obsessed with would be Black AF.
Black AF.
Black AF. That's the show I'm talking about all the time.
Great
I'm
writer.
talking a lot about Insecure, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Issa Rae and Insecure. Favorite writer?
You know who I love? I love Casey Lemon and writing heavy.
Yeah.
That
I love her.
Like reading his work, I think like someone reached inside my head and pulled out my thoughts and threw it down on paper.
Cool. Favorite director of all time?
Oh, it's the favorite director of all. It's Spike, and then the Coen brothers.
What's next for you? What are you working on now?
Okay, so we're all in quarantine, which sounds like an excellent time to hole up in a room and write. But I haven't found the time between feeding. There's meals 3 times a day, there's children being homeschooled, and there's still my job. So I haven't found the time, but I'm working on a feature-length script. And I know if I don't do it in the next year or two, someone else is going to do it. I'm going to tell you before someone else takes other territory. But I'm working on a romantic comedy based on a Black couple going to a wedding on a plantation. And then I'm also trying to develop a season 3 of Brooklynification for somebody. If BRIC TV don't want it, somebody else wants it.
Listen, I know we've been talking about it for a long time. We had a few writers room meetings. Let's figure it out.
I got to get out of anthology. It's the hardest thing in the world to try to work with all new cast every single episode. And I really want to see like a sustained storyline with the same talent over a season arc.
So Chris, yeah, we can't quite see what's on your T-shirt there in quarantine. What's going on? Who do you have?
I'm glad you asked. This is an honor. See, I'm an 80s baby, right?
Oh my goodness.
This is my guy. And I'm like, I have an interview today. I need to plug the great Lionel Richie.
Yes.
And this is my way of saying, what does it say there?
Hello.
Here you go.
Hello.
Whenever I can plug some 80s R&B, I'm going to do that. That's what I'm all about.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I feel 80s R&B.
Like
oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for your time, Chris. This was a really great conversation.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yes. Nice to unpack a little bit of behind the scenes, pulling the curtain back on Brooklynification. And we encourage people to binge watch it. Seasons 1 and season 2.
Home.
Yes.
You got nothing else to do except see people
and homeschool people.
And homeschool and all that. Yeah.
Right.
But other than that, you should be watching free entertainment.
Amen.
Free local entertainment.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kai. I enjoyed this a lot.
Same here. Take care.
All right.
What makes you want to be a part of an anti-hierarchical, matriarchal, cruelty-free collective household?
He got the brownstone, the street, and
what
the
are
car.
these yellow things?
Those are crackers.
We reserved this spot online. Yeah.
But we here now.
Spread love, it's the Brooklyn way.
What?
Biggie Smalls?
I know.
What if she doesn't like us smoking weed?
What if she doesn't like us hooking up? What if she's hooking up and we hear it? Do we get to hear what old people sex sounds like? Isn't it a little weird that you want to live in a household that's just all, you know?
Yeah. I know what.
Just that we're all...
Yeah. White?
Oh. Okay.
Excuse me?
Y'all are crazy.